Dual set.
Heart to
Heart
heart.
to heart. Noonas podcast, Amida.
Hey! Caller.
Yes, we actually are finally get to actually see each other face to face when we're recording. So we're back. Noonas podcast.
The comeback. I'm kidding.
Oh God, no! Oh, don't tell me. Don't remind me about comebacks or tell me about comebacks because.
Okay, I will not call it a comeback because we've been here for years. Sorry. First joke we're gonna have like right now that I have in mind.
Solid joke, but I mean, typical joke, solid joke.
Yeah,
Move on with it.
I've been on a roll lately. I don't know if it's because of the age, but I've been like putting a lot of corny jokes right now. I don't know if it's like Cedric's influence, but I don't know. I think that it's finally getting to me. Like old age and like corny, it comes with corny jokes.
I don't know if he's influencing you or what is. I don't know. You've been slaying me all week though with jokes or something, but anyway, before we start rambling on, we are back with the News Podcast. We have a jam-packed show yet again this week. We got album reviews. We got another Rookiepedia session this week as we are gearing up for, I think next week's going to be a monster review week.
Comeback, yeah.
We have
people have been like waiting for this for like years for them to like be together again and come up with like new music.
Yes, we are definitely, because we were talking about the famous group SHINee, who have been legendary group SHINee, I should say. They are legends in the K-pop world, so we are going to be talking about them in full detail later in the episode. So buckle in for that. But before we get to them, we do have a couple album reviews to get to. We have the long-awaited first studio album from the queen herself, Chungha, delayed because of her COVID illness back in December, but finally here.
Yeah. Also, like I feel like I was kind of expecting a big album that she was gonna release. I thought like last year, but she's been coming up with a bunch of like pre-singles after pre-singles. So the like final results, it felt like a really personal passion project for her. Like oh, now I see why it took you a year for you to like put this album out.
Yeah, after listening to it and seeing the beast that we got released, I understand why it took so long. So we'll get into that. We also have a actual debut this week, one that me and Ginny have both been looking forward to talking about. The rookie group Kingdom. Again,
not the TV show.
Not the show, but the group. As well as we're going to touch on a Japanese release from NCT 127, and we're going to get into a little. Yeah, go ahead.
It'll be like a brief thing. We're just going to explain like mostly about like promotions and how they work differently from Korea to other countries. So yeah, hopefully it'll be more of like an eye opener for you and see how like K-pop like works in general.
Yeah, and how this one I think was a little different, I think, from other Japanese releases that I've seen. So we'll get into that. And then again, like I said, Rookiepedia with SHINee as well this week. But let's start this all off with, again, the queen herself, Queen Chungha, and her first full-length studio album. And we mean full-length.
Like, this is like, talk about like you want full album, think about 26 tracks in the whole package.
Yeah, this thing ran an hour long, so we're talking full length album here. Like I'm so used to, I don't know if I'm just been spoiled with K-pop albums now because they're like quick, like 15, 20 minutes, like and out, I'm done. This is a full hour. Like this, you have to like sit down and like get yourself ready to listen to. But she is back with her first studio length album, Querencia and Querencia. Thank you. I am gonna butcher the heck out of this title. I will warn you right now.
I'm part of it. I'm a bit part Spanish, so it'll be a shame if I like started like pronouncing it wrong. But yeah, Querencia.
I apologize. My whiteness is showing.
That's okay. You were forgiven.
Thank you. But yeah, this is, again, like I said, her first full-length album. This was supposed to come back actually out in January, but due to Chungha getting COVID back in December, they pushed the release date to February so she could recover. And so here we are, finally, with the release and with another great song from the album, with Bicycle, which I'm not going to lie, has been stuck in my head all week.
I like that. The guitar riff is just like, when it's like first starts, it's just like still reeling in my head. And it's just there, like, oh shoot, this is back
that
in my head.
And the bicycle bell too has like just been stuck in my head all week. Like it's this great like distorted guitar, like fuzzy guitar riff through this song, because it's a very R&B pop like trap song.
A bit of like pop, like a mixture of all, like a lot of like classic pop genres. So a mix of pop, rock, and like even alternative rock, and even on the whole album a bit of some Spanish flair, since she's not only did she sing in both English, Korean, and Spanish, but she also incorporated a lot of like Latin pop elements into the music, and even brought in like featuring rappers too from either like Puerto Rico and other places in in America. So yeah, it's like an all around like mix of like really good cool genres in one.
Yeah, it's a very diverse album, like in terms of just sounds and colors and music. You're gonna sonically just get a sampler of a lot of different things from her, and I think it's great, especially considering we got basically 4 pre-releases from her all through last year, and we were all, I know both me and you were wondering, like, okay, she keeps releasing pre-release.
I keep it asking, is this a single? Is Play the single? No? Is like the next like Dream of You, is that the single? It's like English, but I don't know. But it's been, everyone's been like, oh my gosh, she's been like teasing us like with every of these almost like a teaser for each songs. And I'm actually glad that they are included in her whole album. And like looking or listening more into it, and like see how they connect in terms of her themes of, and like why the album is named that way. I was like doing a deep dive on like her like the psychology and like just the mindset of like how she made that album and like what she was thinking about. So it's just like, oh, I think it really connects well. It makes more sense researching more about the topic. It's like, oh
yeah, I mean, because she basically, the album's broken into 4 sections. She literally has it broken as it like section A, section B, section C, section D, and there's literally like an intro, like an instrumental introduction that's like kind of gets you into like the feel of what you're about to expect, and then literally
even describing like what the theme and like what the name of Querencia means, because I can explain later, but she looking back and seeing the lyrics is like, okay, it makes a lot of sense to what she said in the beginning, and like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, because I found it very interesting. So like every section obviously start with the intro track, with the introductory instrumental track, and then every section too then has the single right after it. So section A has Bicycle. Section B has Stay Tonight, which was one of the first pre-release singles. Section C, section C was Play, and then section D was the X.
Yeah.
So each of them were very popular pre-release singles that she had released, that we were like, okay, so wait, where's the album? But as we now finally got the album, it makes so much sense why she released them the way she did.
Yeah, and if you notice, you know how it is broken up into 4 sections, right? What I like think, or like how I personally interpreted like some of the music. So I feel like each of those sections portray like a different kind of like subgenre and like certain like theme around that small portion. So I feel like side A, it makes a lot of like some like acoustic alt rock and more of like a 2000s pop sound, and when you get to like side B, you get into the more retro synth pop and like Vogue club feel of like the of that whole section. And then side C is more of like the percussions, like the more of like the 90s sound with the beats, the techno rave, and even like a mixture of Latin pop and reggae and the calypso, since like I think a lot of those music were really popular back then in the 90s. And then the last one is more of like the R&B and a bit of like a Europop sound. Like it kind of reminds me of like artists in Europe and in Australia, like Kylie Minogue, Goldfrapp, and even Kate Bush in some aspects. It's just that's what I like reminded me of when I'm listening to the album and seeing like a bit of a pattern that she produced and how she composed them. It's just interesting for me, like studying and then like looking in like the similarities between them.
No, I got the same vibes. Like she broke it down really nicely where like each section is basically like a sampler of like these different styles she could really play with and that she could work with in her career, because she's really, I think, just starting with her career, because she's only been like about 4 or 5 years into her career in Korea. She started, I guess a little history with Chungha. She started as a winner on Produce, one of the first seasons of Produce 101, which is a music competition show that basically the top 11 winners got to perform as a group, the group IOI, which was very, very popular in the year that they got to promote. They were active, and they were active from like 2016 2017. And then after that, they all broke off and started going to do solo work. And basically, she continued to do stuff solo. And I know I started to get to know her with Snapping, and then Gotta Go. And that's when I kind of started to know her, get to know her music. And that's when I really started to latch onto her sound. And like, she really started to grow in popularity then too.
Yeah, out of all the many members of IOI, she was like the most like popular, became like the most well-known artist to come out of the group, and started coming with like a bunch of songs that people were able to latch on and be able to enjoy. Kind of a funny thing about me with IOI, there's one song that, you know, before I started liking K-pop, this one song that was like such an earworm for me. I either like hate listening to it, or I just like listen to it because it sounds so funny now. And you know what it is?
Which one is it?
Pick me, pick me, pick me up.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I know exactly what song you're talking about, because it is so annoying, but it's so catchy at the same time.
It's like on the level for me with BTS and Ampanman. A surprise. I like there's some songs from BTS I do not enjoy out of like, you know, out of like some personal reasons, and like even Zimzalabim, even like a fun earworm for me to listen to. Pick me up. I like listening to it now because it just sounds so funny, and like kind of like a love hate relationship between that song. So yeah, little history about me, fun fact about me.
And no, I remember that coming up on my Spotify at first, and I was like, "What in the hell is this?"
I believe like a person who was involved with that annoying song would grow up to be like such a really great pop queen artist. Is wow, like the evolution.
Yeah, like the growth. So I mean, yeah, this album is it's really, really well done. It's really put together. Like I said, like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was like, I'm not gonna like the first time I listened to it, I was like, I was getting a little tired, but I'm like, but this is so well done.
Yeah, actually, it took me a bit for me to like grow into. Like I was in first listen, I was like, okay, some songs like I enjoy, some listens like probably yep. But later on, when I started listening to it again, the more I appreciated, more I was able to like grab onto like more of the songs, and then like liking more of them. Like, oh my gosh, it's really incredible too. And I'm certain that she like did this like without any like influence from like from her like label too, because some of like the things that she makes, and like the like the effort she makes to like contact other like artists to, you know, to collab with her in those in all the album is just it's really like, an incredible feat.
Yeah, I mean, because even one section, section C, the what she calls the unknown section, she basically is the whole section that she's done collaborations with, whether they're collaborations with other Korean artists, whether they're collaborations with Western artists. Yeah, I mean, she runs the gamut on this. It's quite fascinating, just like the amount of work she put into creating this album. I mean, even Bicycle, she worked on the lyrics for Bicycle. She has lyric writing.
Wow.
She has lyric writing credits for Bicycle.
Cool.
So yeah, she put the work into this album. And
she's like what 23 or 24? She's like around the same age as me, and she's like just getting things done too.
Yeah, she's working hard. She is 25. She's working hard,
25.
and she just turned 25, and she's working hard and killing it out there. She's definitely like a soloist you should like watch out for. She's every new song she releases, she always like delivers. Exceeds. Yeah, she delivers and she exceeds her like previous goals. So like
and I would probably want to touch upon like the concept that she made around the term Querencia, because I was like looking about like I like researching on like some words and like what they all mean, how like they have like meaning behind them. So I searched away, because the name of Querencia is a Spanish term, which is the term querer is to desire, to which Chungha creates like a theme and reference in some of her songs, when it comes to like longing for her love and just to be with someone. Like you can hear like some of the lyrics from Stay the Night, Dream of You, and either Luces, Sicut Stellae. It also incorporates a lot of like dream like elements too. And then even just because she's also like trying to desire this one person or this one thing, there's some lyrics that creates like a lot of like fleeting love and insecurities with like an inclusion of like another woman, because there are like moments where she talks about like, I see you like talking to this other woman, or you're still in love with her, and all that. And also that the term Querencia is another word you put in like in the bullfighting. It's like a certain area in the bull ring where like the bull can like safeguard itself. And Ernest Hemingway wrote a book regarding like bullfighting back then, in the 30s. It's called Death in the Afternoon, and he described like a Querencia as like this person or like this thing wanting to like go into like their own safe spots, and in that safe spot is where you're able to like develop your own strengths and being able to come out and fight back. But it also can be a sign of weakness too, since the person outside of the circle can see, like the matador will see the bull going into the safe spot, and then will find its weakness over there. So it can like interpret it as like Changha finding refuge and comfort in her inner circle and dreams. And that's what she like spoke during the first song, or the side A, Noble, which is like home, authentic self, where my dreams are protected, my own oasis, Querencia. So that the comparisons and like the allegories really like meshed well together. And you can see like Changha being the bull, finding confidence and strength like from finding her own desires and dreams, and trying to come out in this, doing like all she can to find the power to win her love's heart. And it can also be like, again, turbulent, and with the on and off relationship between her and her interest. And obviously like the bullfighting, the visual motifs are also seen in the Play music video, which you see her in the bull ring, and also with like the Spanish attire as well. So that's what I like I really took a deep dive with like finding this like the meaning of the song, and then I was like so happy to see like how I was able to pinpoint all things together. It's like, wow, she really like thought this out, and like I can really see like the work that she's put into, and it's really amazing that she's able to like come up with these themes and put it well into her whole album.
Yeah, the things that she thought that far back to tie in the pre-release single, and to get this all kind of tease you with this whole idea way back when she dropped dropped that song way back in the summer when she dropped Play, because Play was I think what, in August September I think of last year.
Yeah,
around
like
that time.
it's like a summer jam song, so I thought
Yeah.
like around the summer and heat
I
of
remember it being
season.
hot when it dropped. So
Yeah, it was
it was very hot.
perfect day. It was perfect day.
It was a perfect day when it dropped. And so that is crazy. I love it like just playing when they plan and it's just perfect like execution.
Yes, yeah.
That is awesome. That gives you such great feelings. That's what I love about this. That's
That's what I
awesome.
love about K-pop, like groups and like or artists coming up with these high end concepts too. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wish they could like I no I know like a lot of like artists in here are able to like make a lot of like really intricate detailed work into like their art and craft and
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they would be able to put that more in the mainstream.
Yeah. So I mean, we're going to be talking about this with our next group here in a second. We're going to be getting into this here in a second, but before if we want to start wrapping up this because I mean concepts, but yeah, this is really cool. I honestly like to see this all tie together. Yeah. Did you have any favorite songs off of Querencia since you said some kind of grew on you?
Like this out of all the sections, side B with Savage is my favorite section in there because I'm more into like the Vogue club beats of like of the whole music, and so I was able to like, and I also other than like the hits that she released like Stay the Night and Dream of You, I also like her the song it's called Bother Me. It really ties in with like the Savage like theme and then like having her with like this really club synthwave 80s sound to it. It's like I really enjoy. And it's also even like other songs in the other albums like I think it's one of like her last songs. It's called Comes and Goes. It really really brings the music to a close before like the epilogue. But also I've been also listening to a lot more. It's Demente, the one in her side C with and she sang it with I forgot like the name of the Puerto Rican artist. Guyana, yeah. I sent that to Sebastian. And since I know he listens to a lot of those kinds of music, so I let him know like what he thought about it, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, like as I see, the fact like she like that was the track's full in Spanish, and it's like it was awesome surprise for me because I was like, oh, because like I forgot like she knows Spanish too.
How about your favorites?
I really liked both side A and side B, like the first two sections. I really like that like pop alternative sound a lot.
Of course,
you know me. So like I really liked Flying on Faith. Like I really like that more like kind of like ballady sound, but like I also really like her when she does it in full English. Like her singing in full English is really really beautiful, and like Flying on Faith is really like well done. Because she says IU is one of her artists that she looks up to, and like that's very IU-esque.
And they both really like they can really hold a note too. Like she's able to sing in the high octave too.
In the high register. So yeah, Flying on Faith is definitely one of my favorite tracks on here, as well as if one of the other pre-released singles. X is hands down one of my favorite tracks that she pre-released.
It took me a while because when I heard it for the first time, because me, I'm not really a big fan of like slow songs, but I've had like exceptions, like NCT's From Home, and then now this is starting to grow on me.
Yeah, I like some of these like more melancholy like love heart songs, and that's one of my favorite. Like, if you can't love me at my worst, you can't love me at my best. Like that. That's the line. That's a really good line.
Another favorite was like when you there seeing me on the TV screen. I love that line.
Yeah, if you can't love me at all, you can't learn to love me on the TV screen. It's like that's a line straight through the heart.
I'll put that in the story. Yeah, love the TV screen.
Whew, yeah. No, seriously, this is a great album. She knocked this out of the park. This is so worth the wait. So
I really hope she gets a lot of like recognition and accolades in the later on in like during award season. So
I do too, and I'm actually looking forward to watching the music shows this weekend. I want to see if she starts taking awards this weekend. So
I hope so. I guarantee, but
No guarantee, but we'll see what happens. So, but let's move on to our next topic, and I guess we'll move on to our rookie debut of the week. This is again one we've been looking forward to for a while, and we've been talking about for a while. This is the group Kingdom. Again, the group, not the show, because we're going to be talking about the show a lot coming up here soon.
Yeah, we'll address the show as Mnet's Kingdom.
Well, I would probably be addressing it as Kingdom Legendary War, because that's what they're calling it now, is Legendary War.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into which, dear God, I can't believe they're showing that next week already. Anyway.
That's a trailer, man.
Episode 0, live streaming Monday. But no, so yeah, this has been a debut we've been both looking forward to, especially because it's a very high concept idea with the trailers that we have been seeing with the swords and a lot of Western mythology, a lot of Arthurian mythology we've seen.
Arthurian medieval fantasy vibes into it. And
yes.
Coming from a label that no one really knows much about, because it's like a smaller end label.
It's a very small label. It's GF Entertainment, which I couldn't find much information about. So I'm wondering if it's a very new label or just like...
I wonder if it is under Ginny, because I know like the Ginny music also put the video up in their channel too. So
it might be under... I think it's under Ginny, because I actually, as I was struggling to find the album to actually listen to, because the album literally dropped today. And it's not on Spotify as the time of we're recording. It is not on Spotify.
Yeah, so we're listening to it illegally on YouTube without
which it's weirdly on Apple, but it is not on Spotify because they do not even have a Spotify account yet. So. Which sucks because, like, obviously with a lot of Western influences with this whole Arthurian and medieval concept, like, it's very strange that they don't have the Spotify, but I digress.
Yeah.
But anyway, they just debuted literally today with their debut track Excalibur and their first debut mini album, History, what was it called?
History of Kingdom Part 1,
Arthur. So it's a very wordy title, and it's very interesting too, because all the members of the group, all their stage names are taken from different kings of history,
really?
Apparently. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't check on their names so much.
That's what they said. Well, because all the names in the group are Dan, Arthur, Mujin, Louis, Ivan, Jaehan, Chiwoo. Yeah, there's a lot of...
There's Ivan terrible.
I know. Also to note, two of the members of the group are actually former members of the now defunct group for Varsity. So two of them had previously debuted from another group, and the group unfortunately disbanded. So now they're on this group, so with different stage names. But yeah, it's I don't know. How do we want to go into this? Because it's very interesting how they released this, because they released the music video at midnight Korean time, which I was surprised, because usually when they do debuts, it's like everything at the same time, 6:00 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Music video, album, everything at once. At this point, they dropped the music video at midnight and were like, here you go, and then the album got dropped at 6.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, because I don't know how much it's gonna affect like the viewership in Korea, since they're not like right now they're not hitting like the millions as like many K-pop groups are like attaining at right now. I get it. They are a new group from like a really like lesser known company. So yeah, I wonder if that's also like playing into that factor. People are not like really like noticing their debut right now, but from looking at it and like criticizing the whole thing and listening to the album today, I feel like the production when it comes to their debut track, which is Excalibur, feels really style over musical substance. Like, I am just surprised at how like stunning and high end those visual designs were. And I was like excited, like when I first saw the teasers and like they're doing some kind of like Arthurian and a bit of like East Asian aspects into it. And I was like, that is like really interesting because like the music and like the look of it, like it's really reminiscent. Don't ask me. Reminiscent of like of other groups such as EXO. If you know like which EXO they debuted in, it's called Mama, and it's really similar in terms of like the ongoing narrative and like with the story that they're creating, and like it goes into more like the epic wide scale. Because if you know, in with EXO, with their like song Mama, they portrayed themselves in the video as like these superpowered individuals that are on this and a continuous adventure with each other throughout their like comeback albums. It's like it's really like they don't like stray away from like the story, and they still continue like showing them with their powers too, and having themes of like their journeys together. So yeah, but guys, listen to like to Mama, because it's really too, it's like it really sounds epic, like something you would hear in the movies, like the booming Gregorian chanting and even the orchestral music complements and how well they executed it. And this is what I felt too when they put like some instrumentals like traditional like themes like a guitar, like acoustic, even like an organ sound, and you can hear it at the bridge too. It's like wow, it really puts me back into like that kind of age as well. What do you think too about like the video? Because you have like your opinions that I was like, oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I really have the same thought. Like I felt very like I got very Mama-esque vibes too, because it's like that very Gregorian chant, like very movie epic-esque. Like the whole music video is very movie epic-esque, like in terms of like it is very style over substance in terms of like the song. Like it's the style is what is they're trying to sell you on in this case, in terms of like all the sword and sorcery, like tying in all these like just tying in some like they're tying in some like East Asian elements in terms of like some of the magic and stuff, I feel like too.
The samurai in the woods
too. Like I could totally see this being like a K-drama or not really K-drama, because they don't do a lot of fancy K-dramas, unfortunately. They're trying to do, apparently. But it's like, it's something along those kinds of veins. But yeah, in terms of the actual song itself, it still kind of feels a little empty in a way, like in terms of the production. Like I guess it's after you see the whole thing, it's just like the song just feels kind of lacking.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I have like some expectations when they wanted to listen to the whole thing. Like I had like like I thought in my head like, oh, they could have like added some more like oomph into some of like the parts in the music. Like they could have used more of like that chanting in the background that they used at the beginning, and even like a bit even like for me, I'm not like I'm not a musical genius, but they could have like added like more like a beating percussion, so like the beating drums, just to get you more hype. It's like you're like actually going into like the Crusades,
the Crusades.
Not a joke of the show.
Because it's interesting too, because like when you listen to the actual album itself, like it starts with this whole introduction, which I will note, the introduction to the album is almost 2.5 minutes long, and it's like instrumental introduction, and that's a little long for an introductory track.
Yeah, it should be like around like the minute length, right?
Minute and a half, maybe, if you have something like if you're doing something with it. Like, because I'll give it to you in hyphens is about a minute. I re-listened to in hyphens today just because I was trying to get some comparisons. Yeah, in hyphens is about 1:41, but they at least are doing something with it because there's a narration with it, and there's like actual like singing and stuff in it too. So I'll give it to them. But this is literally like, it's like an atmospheric like introductory thing, and it's 2.5 minutes long, and it's like, guys, let's get going into the album. Like, come on.
It does sound like an intro. Like, you sound like something you can hear from like a movie soundtrack. You know, it's like,
right.
Am I listening to some kind of King Arthur movie soundtrack that I just came into? But actually, like even though it was 2 minutes, it actually got me so hyped. And it's like thinking, why can't they like input some of those into like the Excalibur itself, man?
Yeah, like the mysterious, like that chanting, like that weird like chanting thing, the spell kind of casting thing, like kind of whispery. That could have been really cool in the song. That could have tied into the song really well. Like I said, it's just felt lacking in something. So, and then you get into the rest of the album because there's 3 more songs after it, including they redid one of the songs as an acoustic version, as well as did Excalibur as an instrumental. I just felt like they put so much on Excalibur and put so much, polish and put so much on the music video that they've just like, crap, we need 3 more songs. Quick, let's record 3 songs and put it on the album and just put it out. Because it just feels very derivative.
Yeah, but I do appreciate those. Like I think because some of the criticisms of the K-pop is like they're too overproduced into the music. There's too much going on, and I would appreciate that they did like some of the songs had like more of subdued sound. Like yes, I appreciate that they could like use more like the acoustics, but also like they could have like had more. I like the consistency though, like about like the constant usage of like the same instruments that just makes them like all connect well together. Yeah, but hopefully they could have like improve and just have more content that they could provide in their first project. And you did say like their singing too feels like really similar to other groups, and I do agree with that.
Yeah,
like they don't have like a certain voice into them.
Yeah, because if you have other groups that are coming out, like I said, I re-listened because I just wanted to get a comparison between other groups that were coming out. Like I would go and went to re-listen to it in Hyphen, and I went to go re-listen to P1 Harmony, who are both just debuted within the last 6 months, just to kind of get a comparison with them. And then I'm still giving the edge to Hyphen. In terms of their vocality, I feel like they're a bit stronger singers.
Yeah.
Overall,
like with Kingdom, it's just they're like how they deliver their vocalization. It sounds really like in hyphens in terms of the high pitch. And I was like, I don't know if their voices were also manipulated by like the producers too, and just hopefully they could like find their own like voice in their singing and rapping as well.
I agree with that too. At least within P1 Harmony, at least their stuff is a little bit more. It's more hip hop stuff. So like it's a little. That is a little bit more. It's hard to compare with those between Hyphen and Kingdom in terms of their sound, because they're definitely more hip hop. So their stuff's a little bit more, I guess, sturdier in terms of stuff. And their voices, I don't think, are as heavily manipulated.
Yeah.
So if you wanted a comparison, I say go listen to P1 Harmony. But I'm also going to say too, in terms of like, I will say, 4th generation has been like the era of like really insane concepts.
Yeah, as of late, even Victon too, with like their recent video as well. Victon with what's it called?
Which one?
Why'd I say? Victon, what I said or something.
Okay, because I mean, I don't know, because we have, because in Hyphen, obviously their concept is vampire.
Vampire.
P1 Harmony's whole concept, like, I'm not gonna lie, literally P1 Harmony debuted with a full-length feature film. I am not kidding you.
What?
They have a full-length feature-length film. So, okay, I will say this: some of them can act, some of them need some work. But and their whole thing is like they're spread across time and they need to save the world, and like some of them have superpowers, and yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, like there's some crazy concepts out there in terms of K-pop, ideas. I mean, like I said, I'm in the middle of pirates and alternate realities and multiple identities and stuff right now. So we're in that. So
I think for Kingdom, like they do have the look. They have the Arthurian theme down, and I think I do encourage that they should go more like subdued in their music. Like use more of like the traditional sounds, like the acoustic, the organs, just to make it feel like you're in the past, if you're in the medieval ages. So they should do more of that. Just find your own voice with what you're singing, and then have more content next time.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get going, because I think we spent too long on that. So let's get going to NCT and talking about the Japanese albums. Right. So like I said, NCT came back with a Japanese release. It was a quick, 5 tracks album, I think. Japanese release with Loveholic.
5. Loveholic.
Yeah, Loveholic, which just came out on Wednesday. Well, the music video for Gimme Gimme came out on Monday. Yeah. And so Japanese releases are very interesting, because it's well known in K-pop that the Japanese market is basically, outside of Korea, the Japanese market's like the top market, and the Western market's probably coming up after that. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the relationship of like where the money's coming from. So, and because of that, well, the Japanese market gets, special Japanese releases, in terms of bands will actually go out of their way and make Japanese songs and album releases for them, including even Japanese merch and Japanese fan clubs for them too. So, yeah. And this is what this is. This is just a quick Japanese release. This is their second Japanese release, I think, in their discography.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know what it was chained under, like what kind of album that they what it was named, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember, unfortunately, but yeah, it's very interesting, because usually a lot of times too, when groups do Japanese releases, a lot of times they will re-record their Korean tracks translate them into Japanese. So a lot of the times there will be the original Korean version, and then there will be a Japanese version of the song. Questionable if it translates well or not.
Some of the songs, if they're like in another version, like spoken or sung in English, it could kind of sound weird, because some of like the words would not flow well. But there's some other like times, Japanese and English, I would enjoy it and appreciate like how it flowed well in to their music and from like the original too. But the thing is, I was listening to the album, and then when it got to Kick It, because it was included in their Loveholic album, I did not hear any. It wasn't in Japanese, actually, from what I've had, what I heard on YouTube. Because my sister were like scouring around. It's like, there's a Japanese version. Because that's what I assumed.
On the Spotify release, it's only 5 tracks. There's no translated songs. They're just 5 Japanese songs, 5 new Japanese songs. That's it.
But they did include Kick It though too, right?
No, apparently. Kick It's not on the album at all.
Oh, so, really? Okay, wow.
So, I didn't see Kick It, which Kick It would be, I think, interesting to see translated Japanese, because I think that would work. I think Japanese, especially with the style of the song too. So, but
all right.
What did you think of the album? The album, I think, is very quintessential 127 in terms of their sound.
It's like all like 127, like doing what 127 does, basically. It's just 127 doing what they do best: loud, bombastic production with like experimental sounds, and even the unconventional formula of like transitioning from like rap heavy verse into more of the soulful vocal bridge. And like people, something they would be put off by like how it like flows well, but for me, I just enjoyed like how it sounded, right? How it sounded. And it's short and sweet, so it didn't take me like, it didn't give me like an obligation for me to like, I gotta like listen to this. It's just like I just listen to it casually, and then I just enjoy how like the beats into it.
Yeah. No, it's a nice quick in and out too. But yeah, it was just very weird, because usually, because I know Stray Kids just had their Japanese comeback at the end of last year, and they did they had 2 Japanese songs, and then they released God's Menu Backdoor in Japanese. So it's like, okay. So that's why it was so weird that there was nothing translated into Japanese on this album.
Because I thought, because I saw like parts of like the promotion, and then some said like it was supposed to be in the part of the album, even though it's kind of jarring since this is like mostly about like Valentine's theme kind of an album. So I didn't why would they put Kick It in there? Yeah, that's what I was expecting. Like they should do like a Japanese version, and they had nothing. Like what?
I'm gonna kick the ass of the person I love for Valentine's Day. That's why.
Yeah, but okay. One of the things that I was kind of like laughing because you know how the ending or like the closing track usually has like goes into like a more of a slower part.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought when the final song of the album called Right Now, so it has like the soothing sound at the beginning, right? And you can hear Taeyeon's voice just like saying oh, and all of a sudden Junghyun comes in with like the booming oh the beat is like oh shoot, I was like blown back. What the hell's going on?
She just kept punching. It's like no, we're not done yet.
What a be somebody and oh. Stop scaring me. Yeah, it's just like it just came out with like this really like hard hitting though, like rap verse. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, it kind of those like the songs really remind me of like there's something they would like put in Fast and Furious if they, go again with them, go to Tokyo again for Tokyo Drift Part 2. That's what like I felt like when I was listening to the album, like Tokyo Drift.
Guys, you heard it for your first. Remember Tokyo Drift Part 2. We're gonna just hit them NCT127 for it.
Good. I'm gonna contain it. And I'll make this a cost.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's typical NCT127. If you like it, it's a typical sound. Like I said, I have friends who are like not into their sound, so like, and that's totally their bag. So. It's totally their thing. It's just very weird, like I said, that have a Japanese release that did not have anything translated from Korean to Japanese. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe they'll release something later. I would like I said, it'd be interesting to have them kick it in Japanese, but
yeah,
who knows? So, but we should probably get into it because we are running along, and
this might be like the longest episode yet, since it's like a lot of like heavy stuff. Like, we're gonna be talking about,
because we have to issue a trigger warning here, and if this is gonna be a 2-hour long episode, I have a feeling. Woohoo! So we're gonna be issuing a trigger warning as we get here into our Rookiepedia session. So I'm going to issue trigger warning. We are going to be talking about a death and a suicide here. So if you are very sensitive to these topics, I am going to be putting timestamps in the description of the episode so you can skip over if you're very sensitive about those kinds of topics. I just want to warn you before we begin because it is
like heavy baggage for us to like explain and like talk over.
So it's a very important thing we need to talk about when we're talking about SHINee. So just warning you now. So this is our content warning, trigger warning. Letting you go now, right now. So with that, we are going to get started in our Rookiepedia session of the day with SHINee. Iconic second generation group. Legendary. Second generation group. I guess they're second generation of K-pop.
Like they are named, like they are like dubbed the princes of K-pop. Right now. So easily, and well-deserved title. Yeah, well-deserved. You'll know the reasons why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is before BTS, before EXO, even before Big Bang. Like it was SHINee. Like
really, I think Big Bang
was Big Bang was Big Bang around this time.
The Big Bang was in like in the mid 2000s, and then SHINee came in like in the late because they're they're like fairly new.
Is it?
I think with Big Bang they become more prominent with their later songs in 2010s, and
I think the SHINee and Big Bang are kind of around the same time because Big Bang had like they were the quote unquote bad boys of K-pop, so quote unquote they say so, which we'll probably have to talk about Big Bang one day on these Rookiepedia sessions. One day later.
But it's gonna be another heavy topic with Big Bang too.
Oh God, I don't know. Another reason entirely. Oh geez. So let's get into it. So again, SHINee is, or I should say, how do you phrase this? is currently a 4-member group from SM Entertainment, consisting of members Onew, Ki, Minho, and Taemin. We have talked about Taemin plenty on this show. Former member Junghyun is again no longer with us, and we will be discussing why he is no longer with us.
Yeah, for Junghyun, he was around at the beginning, so from 2008 until 2017. So yeah, this is like the span of like he was active with SHINee before they became format.
Very good long 9 years of SHINee's career. So a very good chunk of their time here in their careers. So yeah, they debuted in 2018 with their song Replay, which I think pretty much like debuted pretty strong on the charts when it first came out. It's debuted at number 10 and peaked around number 8. And I mean, it's a pretty popular song even nowadays. Like it's still played, talked about, parodied,
covered, by other like newer 4th gen TXT.
Yes, they've covered so many SHINee songs. It's insane.
And like the Replay, it's such like classic, like teen bubblegum pop like boy band feel, and it's just like makes you like feel good. It's like such a like a really cheerful, romantic, like ideal romantic song.
Yeah,
that SHINee's able to like pull off.
It's a very, very feel good song, and now it's also forever ruined because of Super and having Lucas having to dance to that because of a girl dying. So thanks guys.
We're gonna put like this video somewhere on our clip in like our slideshow.
It's the whole thing. Also, because I think Taemin also lost his complete shit also watching that clip, so that was funny.
How dare you besmirch a classic or my song into your foolishness, Lucas.
Also, the fact because Lucas couldn't even deliver his lines in Korean, so they just had to completely translate them because he just couldn't. He had to speak Chinese. He speak Mandarin. He couldn't speak Korean.
Yeah. If you want to know, I could like link.
Please link, yes. Please, we're gonna link this. We're linking this because you need to watch this because this is hilarious. Like when I talk about parodies,
it's so corny, but it's just like cringe. It's like really cringeworthy, but it's like hilarious at the same time, and you just feel like secondhand embarrassment for like all these members like acting in the drama.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the same power of the song. Like it's a song from 2008, and even in 2021, like we're still talking and we're still. Like
the chorus.
Replay. It's so iconic. And I mean, it's the kind of was like the basis of their sound. It's just this whole like smooth R&B, very 80s-esque sound. I think.
Yeah, like they really like honed in a lot of like elements from like 80s, some boy groups or like boy bands in America, even to the 90s, some R&B soul sound. Even like because like SHINee is like they're really inspired by a lot of like classic pop scenes, and like they did say they were also inspired by Michael Jackson and Prince, and you can evidently see that in like some of their works. Like this reminds me of like Michael Jackson, or like this reminds me of Prince. It's like they really know like their stuff, like their research, and they were like really inspired by a lot of those back in the day. Like
if you know any of those like classic like styles of those of the time, like you could totally see it from that in the era, and like you're talking the era of like late early aughts into the early 2010s here. So think about the music scene back then. So
I can see why. Fun fact: this was Obama's like favorite K-pop boy group, so I can see why he was able to appreciate a lot of like SHINee sounds. Fun fact, that's Obama's favorite group,
and now I can too. So Because I mean, even looking when I look at the music scene back in 2010 here in the States, I'm like, I mean, SHINee drawing on that like whole like that classic like 80s 90s sound like is really like up my alley. So it's this really nice kind of soulful smooth sound that they really played on and they really grew with, that just kind of got and they played with more poppier sounds like further. I think the further along they got, like. And it depended. Like they kind of like had some more dancier stuff, and then they had some more dubstep stuff. Yeah, I mean, then their stuff grew, like, depending on, like, the era you're talking about with SHINee, you know, depending on which, you know, songs you want to talk about. I mean, you go into something like, you want to go into something that's a little bit more clubby, you want to go into, like, something like Lucifer. It's very clubby.
Lucifer, yeah.
It's more EDM-y.
EDM-y.
Because that's, like...
Yeah, it really sorry?
Oh, that's because that's one of my favorite songs of theirs, that it has that more EDM-y sound, that clubby sounds, but it still has that R&B undertone to it.
Yeah, and with Lucifer, if we're gonna talk a bit about that, yeah, also it kind of has like the 2010 sound that you would hear a lot of like music back in the day, and Lucifer is like one of them. But not only that, this song, it really skyrocketed them into like the fame, and it really pushed paved the way for how like K-pop music would sound. Even their fashion, how they dressed them in that video, because SHINee, not only were they like really influential with their music, but they were also like paved the way for a lot of fashion scene, like called the SHINee trend. They wore a lot of like like pointed like high end shoes, and even like skinnies were so big, and they wore a lot of those, and even like colorful, vibrant attire too. So a lot of them is like all thanks to SHINee's influence that K-pop, they became like the shape in this form because of them.
Yeah, they defined a whole like generation of K-pop and this whole look that their fans are called shawls, that they took by storm. That they literally like were an iconic, like they were fashion trendsetters in the early 2010s. In Korea. So, I mean, I want to backtrack to even Ring Ding Dong, which I talk about.
Yeah, can't be at its time, but it's like a good, cool, good earworm for you to like listen to and just like have fun and just dance for no reason.
I will bet you $5 if you listen to that song and is not stuck in your head by the end of the night.
Ding ding dong, ring
ding ding dong, ding ding dong.
Crazy frog for some reason. Ding ding ding.
Oh
but,
God.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like I know, because autotune was so big at that time, like in the late 2000s and 2010s. But like they have like one of the most beautiful, like powerful voices in the K-pop industry, and I'm just so confused why they like had put a lot of like autotune in that song.
I know it's so heavily auto-tuned. It's so heavily auto-tuned because it's so campy. It's a ridiculously campy song. It's insanely ridiculous, but it's so fun. But yeah, because I mean, you have one of the most beautiful vocalists in terms of Junghyun's vocals, and then
even Onew too. Yeah,
even Onew's vocals too. Yeah, and it's just like. You're butchering the vocals with auto-tune, but it's still a great song.
Bad boy. Oh, that's why I'm so happy. Like whenever I saw the live version and there is no auto-tune, that's when they really like it sounds really melodic now.
Oh yeah, Ring Ding Dong hits on a whole nother level when you see it live. Like if you listen to their like live concert version, like on their concert albums, whole nother level.
I just want to add I want to add that Minho also like did that dance when he was visiting the kids in Korea in Ulsan from the show, and like the kids were like oh my gosh, so awesome. Oh yeah, just reminding me of that because it's like a recent episode, and he did that dance. It's like brings back memories.
God. He's doing that at 30 years old. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Little man. I shouldn't complain because I'm 30. I'm in my 30s too, so I should complain. But it's hilarious because there's a lot of hip thrusting that music video. But yeah, I mean, I love that song. It's so stupid, but I love that song.
Like a song that you want. It's like a stupid one you want that you can't help but listen to. And that's one of them.
Pretty much, it's pretty much like me. I mean, yeah, I like they have like those kinds of songs, but then they have these like I don't know. And then like one of my favorite, I think more iconic airs of them, I think my like most favorite song of theirs, I think is Sherlock.
Sherlock, yeah, that's one of their biggest hits. Is like pretty much like their peak of like their career in SHINee.
Like, just the fact that they basically took 2 songs, Clue and Note, combined it into one, released it, and it's like this brand new song completely, and it's really produced very well, and it's like this almost like doo-woppy sound, and it really highlights their vocals so well.
Yeah, and like Sherlock during those years, it's just like it really solidified like SHINee as like such a unified, inseparable group. And no matter like whenever there's like tensions that is, that might be experiencing, it's pretty normal like for like K-pop groups to be having conflicts. But with them, it made them feel like throughout their their fights or like their close moments, it's just like really puts them like their chemistry really comes out as genuine and like really like familial, natural familial love between those guys is yeah it's just this is like one of like the most like really beloved because of like their relationships with each other and like how they like interact and like really do well with a lot of their fans too.
They talked about this now, like, down the road, because they've been, together now for years, and they joke about like their days where they've fought like, they were at each other's throats when they were like really, really young. Because I mean, Taemin, how old was Taemin when they debuted? He was 14?
14, yeah, 14.
He was a baby basically when he debuted. It was like 14 or 15 when he debuted with SHINee. And so, because he's a 90, oh God, was he a 93 or? He's a 93 or so, and they debuted in 8. So yeah, I think he was 14 because I don't think his birthday had passed yet. So yeah, he was 14 when he debuted.
There's like even like he was supposed to like debut with EXO since they're like the more younger group and more of his age, but I'm happy because he was put to SHINee because their styles and like their like strengths really like blend well because you have like the vocals and then you have the dancers with rappers and dancers with Taemin. It's just like it's really good harmonious like working relationship.
Yeah, and they all kind of build on each other's like strengths too. Like like because I mean Taemin's like a dancer, but like you don't like but then he really grew as a vocalist because he does like when he started he wasn't a vocalist, but now everybody knows him as a really great vocalist because you see the slew of his solo work because we've obviously gushed about it a lot on this show
many times.
many times and and you have to thank his members, especially Junghyun, because I think Junghyun really took him under his wing and really helped him, come to help him train his voice to become such a great soloist, and even now, to do a lot of the carry a lot of the vocal work in SHINee. So
he even has his own like a distinct like sound because you know how with Onew and Junghyun they have like really a more opal vocal tone, and way with Taemin he's more like a breathy, nasally type of like vocal delivery. But I'm still like amazed to see how these different types of voices are able to like blend in well together and become such a powerhouse of like like singers in there too. Even the rappers as well, Key and Minho, their positions are rapping, but when they have to sing, they're really good too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count out them because I mean, yeah, their rapping is fantastic, but like when they have to come through and sing, their vocals come through very, very strong. So like hands down, like the 5 of them when it was the 5 of them together were very, very, very strong. Like there was a reason why like they were at the top of their game back in like early 2010s. Like right that turn between the second and third generation, like I said, because it kind of served as that bridge.
Yeah, they're like the bridgeway of like the traditional second gen sound and then bridging it more to like the darker, like more sleek, futuristic like music in like the third gen. And they really helped like go into that transition into that era.
Yeah, because I mean the second sound was because the second generation is a little bit more, I won't say simplistic in terms of sound, because I mean I think K-pop was still kind of coming into what we see it as today. Obviously the third generation I think is where it really exploded, and now obviously fourth generation is holy cow.
Having more complex. SHINee is really praised for their like complex like choreography too. And even like whenever they perform in concerts, they don't really do much of like lip syncing. Like they when they sing, they sing and belt it out in the concert. That makes it really more of like a genuine group out of everyone as well.
Yeah,
So
it's like tape what? It's like there's no tape. It's like this is live. This is a live mic. So and it's like you can tell, especially now, because a lot of like I feel like a lot of groups now, especially, and I think SHINee helped with this too, is like you can tell when groups are definitely singing because you can tell the vocals are coming out and like yeah, they are vocally on stage and like their stage shows are insane. Like I've seen clips of their stage shows and there's some amazing spectacle.
Yeah, they're
To
one
their
of the
stage
best
show.
live performers. Yeah, they're one of the best live performers out of all K-pop groups.
So yeah, I'd say if you have a chance, please go look up some clips from like their stage shows back when they were touring like their SHINee World shows. Like
oh yeah,
whole like your mind is blown. Like it's they had some spectacle. Like this is spectacle before like EXO, like the EXO Planet shows before BTS. I think BTS like Wings tour shows, like that kind of stuff. Like these guys really laid the groundwork to get to where we're at now for all these other groups. And I mean, yeah, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then like, and you get to then to like, mid 2000 into the mid like 2015 and stuff. And then they kind of finally started getting like a chance to like finally take control of their own music with Odd. And they kind of started, and that's like the time where like you got to finally hear what they wanted to do. And that was so refreshing.
Yes, yeah. It felt like they really pulled back into like more of like the ones that they were inspired from, and then it's not that it's like as or produced from some of their earlier works, especially like with From Everybody and Lucifer, and then going into like View, and yeah, I just really love how it goes back into like more of like the classic sounds of pop music in America or even in Europe too, and it's really like a refreshing music to hear from them. It just really shows how they grew.
Yeah, I mean, and View is a great song. Like, I think it's a great song. Like, that was such a fun song to do. It's very different in their main catalog of like what they had previously released, but in terms of what they got, excuse me, in terms of what they released to the world, I think it still felt very much like SHINee. In terms of the very R&B, very soulful sound that they have. Again, bring that 80s sound, that Michael Jackson Prince-esque sound to it.
Yeah, one of my favorite
very playful
songs.
though.
Yeah, very playful. Very my favorite, like from their hits, was like "Married to the Music" and "One of One" because it again harkens back to like more of like the retro sound. And yeah, "One of One" is like one of my favorite from them because it goes back into like '90s, even the aesthetics that they made in the design and the music video. It's yeah, it's a really feel good music, and it's so yeah, they really like that's what their name shine. They really shined up, brighten up your days with their works and what they've like achieved in their careers.
If it just felt if like I love that 90s styling because it kind of took that early 90s styling and it looks so good on them.
Yeah,
when they did it. So yeah, it was just so fun to see that on them and to be able to like take control because at that point, because up until then, like it was all SM, handling because it was, back in the day, like we talk about this now and we talk about this a lot on the show where a lot of groups are starting to get control of what they can produce and what they can write. I mean, still a lot of it's done in house, do the producing and writing and stuff, or like there's lots of writers in in K-pop or a lot of Western writers who come in and help write songs. But there's also now a lot of K-pop artists who do have their hands in the production side of it too. So so at least they have input in their art. And a lot of that, you can maybe thank BTS for that a little bit. I don't know, but in 2015, after 7, 8 years, they finally get to finally get their hands and finally get their own opinions on what they want to produce.
Yeah, and I think Junghyun is like really much like pushed hard with that notion into like being able to produce her own independent work. Since I know he is really such a sentimental, really artistic individual. Since he also plays a lot of instruments like bass and other other stuff. Then he also like writes a lot of his songs. Like he writes a lot of for SHINee that earned them like a lot of music show wins. But he also was able to like write some songs and handed it to other groups and artists like with EXO when they started debuting, and even like his friends like Taeyeon and Lee. He's kind of reminds me of like Prince too. Like when he's able to like get a lot of aspiring artists and like use his songs for them to like to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like also like a generous person, but like such an artist. Yeah, it's just like one of like the true artists back in in K-pop. And I just really hope like more people were able to get on that level.
Yeah, I mean, because we also do this too at this point too later in their careers, especially both Junghyun and Taemin were both starting to release their solo career stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them were doing a lot of solo careers because I mean, Junghyun was definitely a lot more soulful music, and then Taemin definitely on this more thoughtier stuff.
Yeah, more like clubby, synthwave type of field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That we got because I mean I think around this time too we didn't that one we got Move. She shakes her head at me. So I know I had to bring up Move. Such an iconic song, but I mean it's like so like them being able to finally kind of get a chance to do what they want to do is just so nice, and then but to see them grow as artists is such a nice thing, and like know what they want to do is, and they still have that sound, like they still are very much fans of that very R&B soul sound,
Mm-hmm.
and they just take in these more modern takes, like there's a little bit of dance, a little bit of EDM, dance pop, depending what the mood is asking for. So it's nice to see, but I guess we'll have dates here, and I'm going to put another trigger warning here if you haven't remembered. Trigger warning, content warning, you're going to be talking about death and suicide. You have been warned. So, unfortunately, and I'm not going to try to get emotional here. Unfortunately, to the K-pop world and to the world in general, on December 18th, 2017, we lost Junghyun to what was ruled to be an apparent suicide. They never ruled it official suicide because his family did not want to conduct a postmortem. What had happened is this was after a series of solo concerts he had completed in early December. He had just completed his next and what ultimately would be his final solo album. He had rented an apartment in Gangnam district and had checked into the apartment at noon, and then had texted his older sister that afternoon and had left some rather concerning messages over the Kakao text, which is a instant messaging system, a very popular one in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
saying things like last goodbyes and say I did well. She was very concerned, so she called the authorities. The authorities arrived at the apartment around 6 in the evening, and they found him unconscious in the apartment. There were coal briquettes on the stove burning. They gave him CPR on the way to the hospital and unfortunately could not revive him. And he unfortunately passed away at the age of 27.
Yeah, at a very young age, and just like I really like life of like just like how do I say this? It's like taken away so quick. Is it's just like he left such like an impact, not just because of like what happened to him, but also his works, and also like the things he wanted, to push, because he's such a really good, push a lot of like, progressive movements into Korea. He was such an advocate, supporter of like the LGBTQ. Also wanted to express like more of like the darker sides of Korea, which Korea is like really hesitant and almost afraid that in tackling it with mental health, because they see it like things such as depression and depression as like some sort of weakness, and they don't want like anything to handle that. That's why like with the lack of therapy sessions and like rehabilitation is not provided for many individuals in Korea. Suicide has been such a common thing. Fortune becomes like almost like a normal thing for them, like to like go out in. And it's become such a huge problem that like I really hope like they're able to like have an eye opener and like, yeah, sorry, we really need to like deal with this in order not to lose more people, precious people, in their lives, family members, like beloved idols. And yeah, it's like his passing as well with other people, his friends, that came after. Yeah, it becomes like a really like a big lesson, and like a big cautionary tale in wanting to get into like such a really highly competitive business, such as K-pop, where like they're made to make their like young artists like do so much that it becomes either like really overwhelming for them, but they don't know how to get out because of like contracts, as well as not giving them enough like breaks, or like being able to like see like family members or friends. And
No, I was gonna say, I mean, because I mean it's suicide has been a really hard thing, and this death hit everyone really, really hard when it happened. Obviously, it caught a lot of people by surprise, but and then eventually afterwards, like it was heavily reported. It was obviously heavily reported on because it was such a big deal that Junghyun passed away. And his close friend and fellow artist 99 posted his suicide note actually on Instagram, who had received his suicide note before he died, and said like she actually tried to reach out to him, and her agency said, please try to reach out to him, like try to do something. And she's like, I don't think there was anything I could have done. Like I tried. Like I think I only delayed I only delayed the inevitable. Like I don't think I could prevent it. Because I think he was unfortunately that far gone. And his funeral was very heavily attended. He laid in wake for a few days, and many idols groups came to visit him. Like every
different companies too. Different companies, you see BTS and they're like attending, and other
even because you had all the SM artists obviously show up, like Girls' Generation, EXO, BoA. But yeah, even BTS was there. Yeah, even BTS was there, and like other idols from like JYP and from YG were there too, showing their condolences to them. And then he was laid to rest in a private ceremony for his family and close friends, and his laid to rest in an undisclosed location. And yeah,
it just showed like since they have like Korea always views like mental health and depression as like like some like a stigma to them, like they don't want to deal with it. Like after seeing after his passing, you see like more videos of him implying how he really thought how he really felt inside. And it's did he like how he like said like how he's been struggling from the inside, but he was like afraid to just express himself because people think he would be probably like be weak, or be seen as weak, or just be seen as like something else. And it's just it's really a big shame how people weren't able to see that, or did anything to like help, or like supported him better. It's just they kind of overlooked that and just like thought it was some something that that he'll probably get over. But
yeah, I mean, this is why like when I talk about like groups like letting their idols take time off now to deal with anxiety and stuff right now. Like, I mean, I talk about this like Suga from BTS has always been a huge proponent of opening up about his dealing with anxiety, depression. Like he's rapped about it on his mixtape, and he's been super open about him struggling with it too. Even before Junghyun died, but even after, he's still open up about this. Bang Chan from Stray Kids is another one who's been very open about being a safe place for people to come to talk about it, because he thinks it's very, very important to be very open about this. It was why it was a huge thing when Junghyun from Twice was taking a break right before their last album comeback, that she was going to take a break to help further her anxiety, and was not going to come back for the I Can't Stop Me promotions. And she just literally came back a couple weeks ago to Twice, and now they're back as a 9-member group. This is why I really heavily applaud KQ Entertainment for letting us know about Mingi from 80s and saying, hey, he's not coming back for this next comeback. We talked to him and he's still recovering, and we just feel at this time, he's not, like, he's getting there, but he's not quite there. And I like, they could totally push him back, because right now, between their comeback and being on Kingdom, they could have totally pushed him back into being there,
that
but
would have
they're
been like
not.
really super overwhelming for him. Like, oh shoot, yeah.
But they're not, and I applaud and commend them for doing that. And so if this is somehow changing the stigma of depression and anxiety in Korea, and like having them actually think about it, and having them actually think about it, and like actually care about the mental health of their artists now, I hope this really means like there's some positive change in this industry, because it really we don't want to have another situation like Junghyun. Like, we don't want to have another idol tragically die at a young age.
Yeah, and it was like, even after with after Junghyun, it's still like really unfortunate to hear other people like years later still like like going out and like taking their own lives. And it just like shows that they're still not really open about it since 2019, or it's like around that time. Yes, 2019, we've lost Sully, and then at like months later, her close friend Guhara from Kara also took her own life as well. So it just like goes to it's like little progress that it's like it's coming along the way. But I just really hope SM, like the company that SHINee's under, and Sully was under before as well, and other companies would just see this as like we cannot afford to lose other like precious artist, like individuals again. And hopefully they would like build like more like rehabilitations and other like therapy sessions for like these young artists for them to access through. And that's what like I really hope they should start doing, and started like advocating more. Because suicide cannot be such like a prevalent way for like Korea to have commonly. And they really need to like change up and do like big steps in order for that, to prevent that.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and I mean, there's no easy solution obviously to this. I mean, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of efforts. I think we are seeing some positives, and it's going to take time. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, I know I think maybe helping with international fans, maybe calling them out on it. But I mean, it's a very delicate balance. Like, you can't be so overwhelming that you're putting pressure, because there's also that pressure. International fans are overwhelming, and causing death threats and stuff too, and that's obviously not healthy either. Like, there's a balance, guys.
Yeah, it's like be civil and wanting to like push like a better like cause for K-pop industries, but don't don't be so aggressive and like be like equally violent with like executing your thoughts about this.
Exactly.
Negative.
Something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, so now they have moved forward, and so after Junghyun's death, they did release one more album before Onew, Minho, and Key did their military service, which I still think is actually one of their most beautiful albums.
Also,
The Story of Light.
The Story of Light parts 1, 2, 3, I believe. How many? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the different parts they did of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's also like also has like either a bittersweet tone in terms of yes, they lost their like beloved friend, member, like a brother figure to them, but also it like the awesome music they produce like gives a lot of hope too, and there's a lot of optimism of them being able to come out strong and not let them be burdened by some by a tragic thing that happened to them. And it's good to see to see them now that they're all back together from like the military service, to see them like they're really so happy together, and then they're back in like playing or like just like like messing with each other again, and it's like
they're messing with each other. Apparently, Key and Taemin are trying to get their manager set up with somebody. I don't know if you saw that be live this week.
After like when Key was away and doing his service, and then like Taemin like raiding his house just to steal his clothes, and during Key's birthday. I like Taemin doesn't change. Taemin doesn't change at all. He's still like the brat. He's the youngest member. He's like the brat of like the SHINee.
He's always going to be their brat. That's the thing. He's always going to be their baby. Even though he's nearly 30. Even though he's 28.
I like how he acts so different when he's like with other like with Super M. He acts like the older brother. No, but when
debatable, but
but he's like the cool parent, like he's just like let their kids do what they want. But now with SHINee, hey guys, give me food, guys, gotta put me somewhere.
Guys, feed me. Yeah, he knows he can get away with it with those three. That's why. So, but I mean, yeah, that's the crazy thing too. It's like, so we're going to come back with SHINee next week. They dropped their 7th full album, Don't Call Me. And honestly, what's kind of crazy is like back in the day, once you had your military service, that was it. You were done being an idol. Like this was it. You were done. And now we're at a time where
you're old.
You old. No, it's like now sky's the limit. Like they can continue and like they can continue to do whatever they want. I feel like they could continue to make music, whether solo, whether they wanted to continue doing it as SHINee. I wonder if Minho wants to continue doing some acting, because he's done some acting. He's actually started quite a few dramas out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There's so much out there that they could do. I mean, he just had an article in Allure. They were writing about having a bunch of people who are turning 30 this year. Write about like what they're dealing with as they turn 30, and he's like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to keep making music when I turned 30. Like I was expecting just to be like done, and here I am, like still like playing with fashion and stuff, and
yeah.
Sky's the limit is our Gucci king here.
Still dyeing my hair, creating like a lot of wacky hairstyles, because that's the key thing. Because like with Lucifer is like a mohawk, and then like when during like the Story of Light, he has like a buzz cut, like colorful hair.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't let his Gucci burn again, he's fine.
That happened in Canada, apparently.
I love this. You need to go find another thing you need to go find the story of Key's Gucci burning backstage.
just like look at all the compilations of like some like SHINee crackhead antics that they like they do. Like, a lot of funny stuff and funny content from like all the members. It's just like so much. It's so fun to like watch and just laugh at.
Yeah, there's some classic stuff up there. There's some really they're pretty funny. They're just I'm really looking forward to this new album, especially they keep teasing this new single to be like a hip hop-esque track.
Really?
They keep saying hip hop, and I'm like, I'm very interested to see what they're gonna do with quote unquote hip hop from them. So
they done a lot of R&B, so maybe like transition into more of a hip hop, and maybe like Key and Minho would probably shine well in the new comeback.
Maybe we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure Taemin's been hanging out way too much with Mark and Taeyoung a lot lately.
Yeah.
So, which I'm not gonna lie, based upon their interactions lately, I feel like there's a Super M comeback happening soon, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But before we go, let's actually maybe run through. We're going to give you guys our basic playlist of SHINee songs you guys should check out. I'm going to have, again, our link to our Spotify playlist for Rookiepedia SHINee edition in the show notes as well. Is on the locations.
It's a whopper of like playlist.
Yeah. Well, we have 14 years of SHINee music to cover here, so that's why. I mean, I guess we're also including too some of the solo works too from everybody as well that his released solo work. His Key is actually released some solo work too. He got to release his first solo album before he enlisted back in late 2018. So I also included some of his stuff too. So did you want me to go first?
Yeah, you should go first because I got a baggage to unload here.
All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead. I've actually probably talked about a bunch of these in our history of SHINee. So running through them quick, again, Replay, obviously their debut track. No, there's no discussion on that. Lucifer, Sherlock, Clue and Notes, Ring Ding Dong, like again, guaranteed that's going to get stuck in your head. View, again, that's like when they departed, and that's just a really fun, cool, vibey track. Good Evening, that's from the story of Light as post. That's part one. That's part one. Yeah, that's the first one after Junghyun passed away. So that's going to be a little bit of a different sound because at that point, I think Taemin starts taking over a little bit of Junghyun's, because both is kind of, I think both Onew and Taemin kind of start taking over the gap that Junghyun had left. So
and also like a Good Evening, if I may. It really, again, really showed like their inspirations growing up to R&B, since the chorus line is sampled from the 90s American R&B soul band 112 with the song Cupid. So if you haven't heard of it, Jenny, listen to the chorus line because that's pretty much what they sang in SHINee in their chorus. It's pretty much the exact same thing, man.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh. Well, you learn something new every day. So, so I'm then going on to my B-sides, which kind of are B-sides, kind of not, because they're not as familiar for me, but Love Like Oxygen.
That's their first music show win, I believe.
That's their first, that was like a music show win for them. Symptoms is a little bit more of like it was just a really fun track, I thought, for me. It was a very sexy song. That's what I said. I said it was a very sexy song. In My Room was off their debut track, and I just thought that was a really sweet, romantic-esque song. I really liked Odd Eye off of Odd.
Odd Eye is my personal favorite from SHINee. Just how they go back into like the 90s, really soulful track, and it's really groovy, really like a baby making worthy type of music.
Yeah, it's a really good 90s sounding track. A really good 90s sounding track. I really like that. So, Everybody, I like that. It's a really dancey EDM-y track.
Yeah, the dubstep. That's the dubstep like. The dubstep side of SHINee, and that won an award. Is it like I believe it's from Melon Music Awards that they won Artist of the Year.
Yeah, I think they won a Melon Award for that one. Yeah, so which it's always good when they win awards. So
they're really highly acclaimed, like, award-winning group.
Yeah, they won a lot of awards when they were promoting as 5 members, and I think even hopefully now as 4 members they'll start winning a lot of stuff too. Hopefully, cross my fingers. Why So Serious? I really liked. I know this was heavily promoted when Junghyun is actually recovering from a car accident, I think.
Yeah.
They were promoting as 4 members at this time too. But this is just a really fun track as well. As I really like Dream Girl and Our Page, which Our Page is the final song that they released off of A Story of Us Part 3. It's a really beautiful song because they wrote it kind of as in memory of Junghyun. So
it's like a eulogy. It's like a beautiful eulogy and also like a final send off for like a Junghyun in spirit too. Because if you like look at the music video, it's like you can like if you're a really big fan of SHINee, you can get like pretty emotional about it. Like
it's a really like it's like you really should listen to it just because it's just like it's a really good like thank you for everything like kind of song.
Thank you. So. Yeah, you've done well, Junghyun.
Now rest. Yeah. Rest. We got it from here. As for Junghyun's solo work that at least I know of, I still need to completely dig into his stuff. I have not because I am I have so many other things to listen to. But I have listened to some of his stuff. I really am a fan of Moon. That I think is one of his sexiest songs, period. Let Me Out is always, I think it's the only criticism I have of Let Me Out is it's too short. Because I think it's such a great, because I think it's such a great song. Because it just ends, and I'm like, I want more. Because it's just so good. I really do like Lonely, which features Taeyong from Girls' Generation on.
Yeah. That's like I really like delves into their like their psyche since Taeyeon also like struggles too with with her form of mental health. So I really feel like with her and Junghyun they really like share those their struggles well into like their song. So it's really beautiful.
It is a really beautiful song. So I also really recommend End of a Day and Shinin' from Junghyun.
Yes. Shinin' is like the posthumous single that was released after he passed.
Yes.
And they were able to release his final album, which the song really feels so hopeful, and like it's really like more like an upbeat, really feels like optimistic. Despite like the sadness that has happened, like he was brings so much hope, and like I love like the sound or like the lyrics, like I'll always be with you. So,
it's important to note too on his final album, all the profits from that album all went to his family, and they actually set that up as a charity foundation. So was at least really nicely done by SM Entertainment. In his honor. So as for Taemin, we've obviously talked about Taemin quite a bit on the show. So we have recommended some of these songs. Some of these I don't think I have recommended. But obviously Move, because Move. Famous, Criminal, which I still think Criminal was recent, as well as Idea from last year, because those were just great songs. Goodbye, which was a Japanese release, I think is really, really beautiful. Sexuality. I really stop. I really also do like Flame of Love, which is another Japanese release of his, as well as Thirsty. So I mean, because he has, yes, because he's two gamuts. He's these really beautiful romantic songs, and then he has like definitely like host songs. Like it's just like two gamuts here.
Yeah, Thirsty. I was able to bait one of like my friends, not even a K-pop listener, into like playing that accidentally,
quote unquote.
One of my biggest success in life. No, I'm kidding. I was like laughing when it suddenly played during the Discord, and then like I was like, who the heck is playing that? Because that is not me. And then I was like, yeah, who is playing that? And then he looked at his like screen. Oh shoot, it's me.
I remember that night, and that was hilarious. That was so funny.
I'll bait you into more of our madness here.
We're trying to bait more friends into K-pop. If you can't tell, we're such great people. And then for Key, because like I said, Key's got a very few songs, but I think he still has some great stuff that he has released. I really do like I Wanna Be, which features So Young of Idol, which was on the re-release of his first album. And then One of Those Nights, which features Crush, which was on the first version of his album. And then This Life. All three of these songs are great. So and those are my picks.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna unload the scroll here. For like the picks, because what I did here is I thought of like when we're doing this episode, I thought of my friends back in university, and since it sucks that I wasn't big into K-pop when we were together, because now I found out like recently is how much big of like a second gen K-pop fans they were, and they like really big, huge shovels. That's like the term for SHINee fans. And so I asked them, before we recorded, like, hey, like, can you like maybe put some of your recommended picks for the SHINee episode? So Marie, Ashna, this is like in dedication to, for you guys. Other than what Jenny mentioned, since I also love those songs too. We have from the Romeo album. It's called Romeo and Juliet. When we move into their Lucifer era, so we have two songs, Wow 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 and Ready or Not. And in the Sherlock era, that's like their peak in their careers. So we have Stranger, which I love, and I really recommend you guys watch the Stranger live version, because it shows you like Junghyun at his strongest and his most powerful vocal performances in his career. So watch that. And Honesty as the second one. So we move into like the Dream Girl, the misconceptions of you. So that's like one part of like the misconceptions era. We have 4 songs. We have Runaway, Hitchhiking, Dynamite, and Celine 6.23. And in the second part of the misconceptions, so it's the Why So Serious misconceptions of me. We have Excuse Me Miss, which I love, and also love like the live performance in there too, and Evil from there. And I think we get to like the Japanese picks, since my friend Marie loves some of the songs there. So we have like the Boys Meets You, with the song 1000 Years Always by Your Side. And then during their EDM dubstep heavy phase, which is Everybody, we have, we have, you also mentioned Symptoms. I have Queen of New York, Close the Door, and Colorful. And I think this is just the another Japanese era from the I'm Your Boy, I believe, Downtown Baby, Lucky Star. And one of my favorite albums from Odd, I have, Savior and an Encore, since another case and example of like SHINee's perfect blend of their voices together. In the One of One era, we have Prism and Shift. In their 5, which I think was one of the last, performances with, when Junghyun was with them, we have Diamond Sky. And going into like when they were now a four-man group, we have from the Story of Light in episode 1 album, 3 songs: Undercover, All Day All Night, and Jump. And going into like some of like the solos, because I'm more big into like Junghyun and more familiar with Junghyun's work and Taemin's. So with Junghyun in his first debut album, EP Base, his first song is the first title track is Crazy. That's one of my favorite songs from him, as well as Neon. I love like the neo soul he was able to like portray in there, and it's really like vibrant and like bravado. And another favorite Junghyun song when going to like his album, She Is, the title track, She Is, because it's like a more laid back music where Junghyun doesn't like really have to belt out in that song, and it's like super like chill, and then like I love like the mood it brings here. And Cocktail, another like sexy romantic song. Taemin solo, we've again talked a lot. I'm gonna delve in like a bit with like his first album, his debut, since it's kind of funny how they used so little of Taemin back in like in the early years of SHINee. Like they didn't get him to sing. He's just like just like dances a lot, and it's funny how like they have him being first to like debut as a solo artist, and it really boosted him into like more in the spotlight out of like all of his members. So in his first album Ace, we have Danger and which and Ace, which they both feel like like something that Michael Jackson would produce. Press Your Number and Drip Drop from like the Press It album, and then into their more into the Want album, we have the title track Want and Artistic Groove, and a bit of the going into his Japanese albums. So I have here Tease and Exclusive. I like the Japanese version better than the Korean. It's like that more. And then his recent albums with the Never Gonna Dance Again, with Act 1, I have Waiting For, because it has like a Latin flair that he's able to make. And then in his Act 2, I have The Impressionable, which sounded like something that Tim Burton and Danny Elfman would make if they make like a K-pop theme. And Identity is like his very last song in his previous album. So yeah, it's able to like ram through all the like the list down.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive Spotify playlist, but again, worth it. It's really worth it because they have such a eclectic, like there's so many different sounds throughout their stuff.
Yes.
Obviously, between their solo work, between them and SHINee, it's just it runs the gamut. So like you can kind of pick and choose, especially between early SHINee, mid SHINee, late SHINee, like. You can pick and choose.
Also, you can also like check out the video version as well when we're gonna put the episode up, because we'll put the list down too at the side as well, so you can like see like what we're like naming down.
Yeah, we'll have albums and stuff up too for all of them too. I'm also going to put them in order on Spotify by when they came out. So I'm going to have them in chronological order because I did not list any of mine in chronological order because I'm horrible. Because I did not organize my stuff like Ginny did because I'm not that organized apparently tonight. So, but yeah, that's SHINee in a nutshell, I guess.
In a long, really like insightful nutshell,
I guess. But I mean, like I said, these guys are legends. They've really set the scene. They really kind of laid this groundwork for where we got into third and now into fourth generation K-pop. And so, yeah, like to see, it's going to be really exciting to see what we're going to get next week because we are going to be reviewing their new album next week here on the show. As well as a slew of other albums, because oh my god, we have.
I'm not trying to forget Onew, and also I am putting out their solo. I saw I Am's like trailer, and that dropped me somewhere.
I think I Am song literally drops in like 3 hours from the time of recording this. So
in words of his title track, goddamn.
Yeah, literally. On top of that, too, we might have to talk about episode 0 of Kingdom, possibly next week. Hey. Maybe. We'll see. Am I getting up for it because it's at 5 a.m. my time? Probably, because I have to get up for work anyway. So might as well. No, they announced this week. No, so Kingdom doesn't start until April, but we're going to air episode 0, in which all 6 groups have to compete and perform live. There are no cuts, no nothing. And so all mistakes will be shown live on air.
All live on air.
All live on air. So this will be very interesting come next week, especially as 2 groups are currently gearing for their comebacks. I'm very interested in seeing how this is going to pan out and see what is all going to be on the table. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's plug our stuff and get on out of here, shall we?
Yeah. Well, first, before I plug in my stuff, I would like to in honor and in dedication to Junghyun, I would hope to like push more and have other people who are struggling or dealing with with depression, other forms of mental health. I encourage you guys to speak up and call whoever who can really help you. So in Canada, I have the Canada Suicide Prevention Service. You can see the number 1-833-456-4566. And for more of the kids demographic, I have the kids help phone, the 1-800-688-6868. And if you want to help, place your donations for the cause, build better treatment and rehabilitation for people struggling with that, you can go to canadahelps.org, and they give you a variety of platforms and links. You can place any of your donations too, and I even put yours for in the US too, for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. No pressure, Jenny. If you thought of something, I'll add it on to the slideshow.
No, I was thinking we could, because obviously we could, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, please visit that if here in the States, if you are having any kind of suicidal thoughts or ideations, please give them a call, 1-800-273-8255, or please visit the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI.org. That is a great website to get help, any kind of national research. Also, please consider to raise money or to donate to any kind of fund or anything to help with mental health or LGBTQ, helping with mental illness. I really highly recommend maybe the Trevor Project to really help, especially since Junghyun was very, very, very passionate about LGBTQ issues in his life. So that would really mean the world to us. I know I'm definitely actually might donate this weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In his honor before actually the album drops too, just in his honor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
help out.
It's I mean, if you have we take this stuff seriously. So, and we hope that at least something, hopefully we talk to somebody. We hopefully reach out to somebody, just a helping hand or something. So, but
we also we'll be open, and then find a way to help and find a way to provide comfort and other ways to help other people in all the ways we can.
Yeah, I mean, we're not just here to talk about K-pop. We're here to talk about other things too. So feel free to reach out to us. Seriously, guys, we're definitely here to talk about other things.
Reach out to Instagram, Facebook, and
yeah. Seriously, you can reach out to either one of us. You can reach out to me. Find me on Facebook, Jenny Matisek. Instagram, Twitter, Cass Bulldog. Please reach out to me. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, and then Ginny, you can find me on Ginny Liano on Facebook, and for my personal Instagram, RCL underscore Imago Jin, so RARCIEL underscore IMAGIN. Okay. Yes. So you'll be able to find me there, and if you're dealing with anything, you can feel free to message me, and I'll be able to respond to you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this has been the news podcast. I know we're kind of ending on a downer, but I mean, this was a bit of a heavier topic to talk about in the episode this week, but important topic.
Hopefully become a lesson for any of us to find a way to inspire us to help out others.
Yeah. So hopefully we can, and hopefully things are changing. We really do hope things are changing, and short, small steps, and hopefully we can help foster a changing culture in the world overall. Yes. So, and with that, I think we give off a very resounding fighting
forever.
Fighting forever.